Jaago.
Tata Tea Gold Power of 49, powered by Tata.
One woman is raped every 21 minutes in India. One woman is kidnapped every 14 minutes. Much of this happens in broad daylight. Unsafe streets, poor public transportation, and daily harassment, something women across the country live with every day. While the Nirbhaya case forced the government to change its laws, much more is needed.
I don't want any acid attacks, any kind of rapes going into the society.
And women are fighting back more than ever before. Women like Lakshmi, whose life went dark 10 years ago, but fought to bring life into the lives of acid attack victims everywhere. She was only 15 when a jealous friend poured acid on her face. In the years that followed, she won a ruling from the Supreme Court on regulating the sale of acid and continues to fight for more compensation and better laws. How can your vote count to make that happen? Will the new laws and cases in the Supreme incidences of rape and acid attacks? Is there a way to ensure women can demand and receive safe public transport? What will it take to make safe roads and well-lit streets a government priority? And should men receive special education on women's issues? What do our politicians need to do to ensure public safety for every woman in India? Hello and welcome to the Jaago Power of 49 campaign in association with Network 18. We're talking about the power of the woman voter ahead of elections 2014. Remember, it's always important that women vote. It is important that women get voted in. But what's essential is that women's issues get onto the political agenda. Over the next month, we will be going over each of those issues to try and build a manifesto on the issues that count to every woman in this country. Action points that will ensure that election 2014 will see the rise of the power of 49. I'm very privileged to have in our studio our special guest today. Ruchira Gupta is the founder-president of Apne Aap Women Worldwide. She works particularly on sexual trafficking, that big problem of women being taken away from their homes and their lives. In our studio also is Sonali Khan. She's the head of India and regional operations for Breakthrough. And of course, a very, very important voice when it comes to women's issues and having those issues heard. And here we have with us Lakshmi. She's a very famous face now, an acid attack victim herself, a member of Save Your Voice, someone who didn't just let that attack get her down. In fact, went to the Supreme Court and brought about a very, very landmark ruling that is going to help acid attack victims around the country. We're certainly going to talk about all of that. We also want to talk about where the issue of public safety lies when it comes to the political agenda. Ruchira Gupta, if I could start by asking you, the Nirbhaya case, as we saw, it's the big case for public safety. It was a turning point in many ways. Even so, the numbers rise. In Delhi, the number of rapes reported, in fact, doubled in 2013, just after the Nirbhaya case. When it comes to the All India figure, someone gave me the horrific figure of a 900% rise over the last half century. That's a tragic figure for independent India. How does the law and society keep up when those figures are so high?
The problem is that while the law has changed and we have tried to end impunity for rapes by punishing men, and we have had high-profile cases where judges and journalists have been arrested and are being tried right now, but also at the same time what has happened is that there's a big link missing in how convictions, prosecutions and investigations happen. Police accountability and the role of the police in ensuring public safety has not been addressed adequately. And even with the new rape law, one of the recommendations of the Verma Commission was that the police needs to be much more proactive. Right now, women cannot go to the police station very easily. If they go, their complaints are still not registered, especially women who are from marginalized, low-caste communities. The women I work with who are prostituted women, nobody even accepts that they can be raped. So if they go to a police station, the police officer will not write down a complaint. And so we have to create some systems where law can reach the doorstep of adolescent adolescent girls in slums, where there is police patrolling on the streets, where there are more women police officers, and we also need not just more women police officers in patrolling situations or inside the police station, but we also need in shelter homes and other such places where women end up as victims of violence, the kind of counseling and rehabilitation that we are setting up to ensure the public safety so that women can go back. We need women to be taught how to become more drivers. Right now, how many bus drivers are women? How many taxi drivers are women? So, you know, we have to think about all this much more.
In fact, when you speak about that gender imbalance, 5.33% is the number of women in the police services across the country. Lakshmi, आप पे जब एसिड अटैक हुआ, दिन दहाड़े दिल्ली में एसिड अटैक हुआ, लोगों का क्या बर्ताव था, ऑफिशियल्स का क्या बर्ताव था आपके?
उस टाइम पे मेरे ऊपर जैसे ही अटैक हुआ, मैं एकदम बेहोश हो गई और उसके बाद जब मुझे होश आया, मैंने अपने आप को अपनी आंखें खोल के बहुत मुश्किल से, उस टाइम ऐसा लग रहा था फेस बहुत बड़ा हो गया है और मुझे किसी ने एकदम जिंदा आग लगा दिया है। और जैसे ही मैंने आग खोल के देखा तो लोग तमाशे की तरह देख रहे थे, लेकिन किसी ने कोई मदद नहीं की किसी भी तरीके से। 3 बार वहीं पे मेरा कार एक्सीडेंट भी हुआ, लेकिन किसी ने कोई सपोर्ट नहीं किया। बट लेकिन उनमें से एक ऐसे पर्सन थे, अरुण सिंह करके, उन्होंने वो केस देखा दूर से और उसके बाद जब वो वहाँ पे आए, उन्होंने मुझसे पूछा, पुलिस को बुलाया और तुरंत वो लोग मुझे RML हॉस्पिटल लेके गए।
अच्छा, अब फिर भी जो आपके साथ हुआ है, मतलब सब ने अब देखा है आपकी बहादुरी, आपने जो कोर्ट में केस लड़ा था, सुप्रीम कोर्ट ने अब एसिड रेगुलेशन पे भी गाइडलाइंस दिए हुए हैं, फिर भी एसिड अटैक्स बढ़ते रहते हैं। पिछले साल शायद 200 के करीब एसिड अटैक्स रिपोर्ट हुए थे देश में, और फिर भी एक पन्ने से ज्यादा किसी पॉलिटिकल पार्टी के मैनिफेस्टो में एसिड अटैक क्या विमेन्स इश्यूज भी आते नहीं हैं?
मैम देखिए कि एसिड अटैक को कोई मुद्दा नहीं बनाया गया है और किसी को मालूम ही नहीं है, एक तरीके से उसको देख के और बस रिजेक्ट कर दिया जाता है और जरूरी नहीं है, किसी को मालूम ही नहीं है। अभी मैं बाहर निकलना स्टार्ट हुई हूँ, लोगों से बात करती हूँ, किसी को पता ही नहीं कि एसिड अटैक होता क्या है। अभी बाहरी शहरों में पता चल जाता है, शहरों में ये सारी बातें पता चलती है, लेकिन गाँव में वो बातें पता नहीं चलती क्योंकि वहाँ पे कोई मीडिया नहीं है। अगर मीडिया है तो वो केस को या दबा दिया जाता है, तो उसको जरूरी है एसिड अटैक को मुद्दा बनाना।
और जब आप कोर्ट गए थे, जब आपका केस लड़ा जा रहा था, आपको लगता है कोर्ट से बदलाव आएगा? सुप्रीम कोर्ट ने तो आपके पक्ष में गाइडलाइंस तो जरूर दे दिए हैं, लेकिन कोर्ट्स में जितना वक्त लगता है इन केसेस में।
जी बिल्कुल, 10-10, 15-15 साल, 20-20 साल केस खिंच जाता है और सर्वाइवर तो सर्वाइव कर रही होती है, कोई पूछने वाला नहीं होता है। और उसके बाद इतनी लंबी लंबी केसेस चलते हैं कि कौन बाद में जब वो फाइल हाथ में आती है और किसी को मालूम ही नहीं है कि क्या हुआ है, कहाँ है वो मुजरिम, वो अपनी लाइफ को जी लेता है। तो ये सबसे ज्यादा जरूरी है कि फास्ट ट्रैक कोर्ट बना है, लेकिन उसका बनने के बाद भी कोई फायदा नहीं है। एक कमेटी बननी चाहिए जो 3 महीने के अंदर ही अंदर पनिशमेंट देना चाहिए। और मुझे कोई नहीं जानता था, लेकिन अब मैं बाहर आई हूँ तो अब लोग जानते हैं। और ऐसे बहुत सारे केसेस हैं जिनको कोई नहीं जानता है, बहुत ना हॉस्पिटल को पता है कि जब शुरुआत में अटैक्स होते हैं उस टाइम पे किस तरीके का ट्रीटमेंट जरूरी है। सबसे ज्यादा जरूरी है ट्रीटमेंट किस तरीके से किया जाए, उसके लिए एक अलग से एक हॉस्पिटल में होना चाहिए यूनिट कि जिस टाइम पे ऐसा कुछ होता है या एसिड अटैक सर्वाइवर्स जाती हैं कोई भी, और फ्री ऑफ कॉस्ट ट्रीटमेंट होना चाहिए, सबसे ज्यादा जरूरी है।
Sonali Khan, there are so many issues to this. It's not just the public safety, it's the way the officials behave after an attack has happened, the compensation, the courts, and all the rest of that. But you've always said that it's not just about what the government is able to do.
Yes. I think Lakshmi just made the point really eloquently that when she was attacked, there were silent bystanders all around. And I think this, I mean, I couldn't have made the point better, that we really need to take responsibility, that is we the people. We cannot be bystanders, we cannot just expect duty bearers to step in, because I think that's a tall call. Like even, I mean, Ruchira said we need police reforms. We've been asking police reforms forever. Since the Nirbhaya case, I think that was the most loudly touted request. Where are we on it? So from that standpoint, I think if we take the responsibility, while I'm not saying that let's get and ask for police reforms, let's ask for the duty bearers to be responsible, but the question is what can we do?
How do you think that voice will actually get into the people who count in power? Because after all, one will say you can sign a lot of online petitions.
Yeah.
Lakshmi, took one online petition to the Home Minister. But some will say the people who carry out the attacks are not the ones who are signing on online petitions.
You know, I think if you think about what happened after the Nirbhaya case, I think it was a tipping point. People have woken up. People have rallied and come to the street. It's not that there is, I mean, on one side there is apathy, but on the other side is that there is a reactionary tendency. If there is a cause, people step out. But the challenge before us is how do you sustain it? How in times when there is not an incident do you get people to respond? So the idea is that there you need policies. So what, like for example, a recommendation could be that the police and the Delhi Transport Department, for instance, they run schemes how to engage people with safety. It's a prevention model. It's not a rescue remedy model. So what we are saying, when you talk about prevention, you need to engage with safety. Just the way the police runs these drives against drunken driving or safety on the road, why can't they run a drive for safety and security of women in Delhi?
It's about changing the discourse in a sense, Ruchira. It's also about bringing that awareness within women themselves and young girls particularly. You deal with so many young girls, and kidnapping is one of the most horrific statistics in this country.
I think there are two issues here. One is that, you know, girls have to learn how to say no and to also break the silence, because what kind of violence we are facing seems to be almost as if a society wants to push women back into the home. But, you know, no amount of violence is going to push us back, and Lakshmi is an example of that, that this has made her stronger and she's stepping out on the streets. And that's the same change I see with the daughters of women who are prostituted women who used to think it was their shame. Now they're saying it's not our shame, it's the shame of the perpetrator. And this has changed after Nirbhaya. So we have a huge movement on our hands, and there's hope in that movement. And that movement is going to make sure that we also ensure healthy masculinity. Because what's happening is, what is the root cause of a man throwing acid on Lakshmi's face? Or what is the root cause for a man going to buy sex or beating some woman or raping some woman? The root cause is that he's begun to believe that the cult of masculinity which is around him is about domination and violence. So we have to keep speaking up as women.
लक्ष्मी, आप अपने पिटीशन के बारे में बात कर रहे थे. आपको क्या लगता है कि जो पॉलिटिशियंस हैं, जो राजनीति में हैं, उनका व्यवहार कैसे हुआ है आपके साथ?
उनका मैं इतना पॉलिटिकल्स के बारे में नहीं जानती हूँ, बट लेकिन सबसे ज़्यादा ज़रूरी है कि इस चीज़ को जाना जाए कि एसिड अटैक है क्या, और उसके बाद उसके लिए जो मेन पॉइंट है कि कंपनसेशन बहुत ज़रूरी है. और उसके बाद आप 10 साल के बाद, 20 साल के बाद, वो जो अभी 3 लाख का लागू किया गया है, जब आप इतने टाइम के बाद आप अगर उसको ये कंपनसेशन देंगे तो वो कहाँ जाएगा? वो तो मर ही जाएगा.
इस आवाज को बुलंद करने की अब जरूरत है. Coming up here on the show, the action points. Specifically, we're going to look at what do each of our political parties need to commit to. You're watching The Power of 49. Stay with us.
Jaago re, jaago re, jaago re, jaago re, jaago re. Jaago re, jaago re, jaago re, jaago re, jaago. Tata Tea Gold Power of 49. Powered by Tata.
Welcome back to The Power of 49, this Jaago initiative with CNN-IBN. I want to go around and ask specifically, if today we were to get our action points into the political agendas of this country, elections 2014 coming up, what would you put in? Lakshmi, आप क्या डालोगे? आपको क्या लगता है कि हर पॉलिटिकल पार्टी के एजेंडा में क्या होना चाहिए?
सबसे पहली चीज ये है कि एसिड अटैक को मुद्दा बनाया जाए. सेकंड पॉइंट मैं यही चाहती हूँ कि सेंट्रल गवर्नमेंट में इसकी स्कीम नहीं है, ना राज्य सरकार में कोई स्कीम है, इसकी स्कीम बनानी चाहिए.
तो रिकॉग्निशन की ये प्रॉब्लम अलग से है, क्योंकि वायलेंस अगेंस्ट वुमेन के एक्ट में एसिड अटैक तो है. अब पॉइजन एक्ट में आता है, और बहुत जरूरी है इन सब चीजों में, क्योंकि मेन एसिड इतनी बुरी चीज होती है कि वो 48 आवर्स में, मतलब अंदर तक वो इतना पुश कर जाती है कि वो अंदर की सारी चीजों को बर्बाद कर देती है. और ये पूरी लाइफ टाइम के लिए होता है कि आप लोग हमें देख सकते हैं कि हम कितनी बुरी सिचुएशन से, मेरा इलाज प्राइवेट हुआ है, उसके बाद मैं जाके आप लोगों के सामने हूँ. और आपने शायद 6-7 सर्जरीज.
बिल्कुल, लेकिन एक लड़की 70-70, 80-80 ऑपरेशंस कराती है. उसके बावजूद भी अगर कोई भी फैसिलिटी गवर्नमेंट हॉस्पिटल में भी किसी में भी है तो उसमें क्या किया जाता है, स्किन निकाल के उसको ऐसे ही रख दिया जाता है. जैसे कि आप बहुत सारी ऐसी लड़कियों को देख सकते हैं कि जो मर्जी आया उसको सिल के रख दिया, इस तरीके से किया गया है. तो वो सारी चीजें बहुत जरूरी है
मेडिकल फैसिलिटीज में,
और फ्री ऑफ कॉस्ट. कॉस्मेटिक सर्जरी और प्लास्टिक सर्जरी ये सब होनी मस्ट है.
Medical facilities में बढ़ोतरी.
बिल्कुल.
Sonali Khan, when it comes to rape, what is it that you need to see on those political agendas? Because it's no longer just about how women feel. Everyone knows that there is a huge amount of outrage.
See, Suhasini, the first question I want to ask is, this is Nirbhaya Fund, 1,000 crore rupees is there. What are we going to do with it? You know, it's already been put in place, and now again another, huge amount has been allocated to it. The first thing I would like the political parties to really put into the manifesto, how are they planning to spend this money? There has been enough on saying we will work towards empowerment of women, we'll talk about safety, and all the laundry list is given out, like street lighting, and you've just laid it all out. But I think it's time to really ask for tangible and create report cards for cities. I mean, how are we going to really benchmark that this city is safe for women? I think we need to build specific policy. I mean, look at policies and specify them for the city. For instance, for Delhi, where it's a huge city. Women can't access bus stops. Simply, women have to walk long distances to even reach a bus stop or a metro
And
point.
it's not lit.
It's not lit.
70% of the street lights in Delhi don't actually
So
work.
what for Delhi would be specific? So what is the report card for Delhi, for Calcutta, for Bombay, for Meerut, for Chandigarh, for Sonipat? I think we need report cards, and I think that's what we want to hear from the
And certainly
government.
Delhi's been in the focus because of the Nirbhaya attack.
Yes.
But then you see Bangalore, you see Bombay. Each of
Exactly.
these cities is grappling.
And it's not that the police doesn't know which are the dangerous spots. Of course they know. But they don't do any incident happens or till women actually raise their voices, or, a neighborhood society raises
So you
their
would say
voice.
report cards for cities. Tell us how you are going to spend the Nirbhaya fund. Ruchira, the new rape law seems to be all-encompassing. It's certainly, because of the outrage over the Nirbhaya case, it has been pushed out. What would you add?
I would ask immediately for more police, female police in the police stations. I would ask politicians to have more female candidates to stand for elections. At least half the candidates should be women. I would ask, as she said, Delhi report cards, city report cards. I would ask for the fund allocation to be decided. But beyond that, I also think politicians don't just need to be the change they want to see. They have to be the change we want to see. So each politician, I would like them to make a pledge at the beginning of each rally that they address, that they will do all they can to provide equality for women, and what do they imagine that equality to be. Because we don't even know
And
what
not
the
just
imagination.
women's rallies, not just rallies for
Absolutely. In one state, there's a politician who is being charged with stalking a woman. In another state, in Bengal, where I come from, the chief minister has been saying this is politics when people go and complain against rapes. So what about impunity for those politicians who don't even take rape seriously? Because if the political leaders don't take rape seriously, the police will not take rape seriously. If the police don't take rape seriously, then the men will not, the perpetrators will not take rape seriously, and therefore the woman will be silenced. So we need accountability from the top to the bottom.
Accountability and that voice heard in these election rallies, in the campaign running up, in the manifestos of these political parties. What we really want to hear is how each of them will deal with it. Ruchira, Sonali, Lakshmi, thanks so much for speaking with us. We've got our action points on public safety here on the Power of 49. I'm just going to go over those. The first, really, that all political parties must state very clearly what their agenda for women is and what they intend to do when they come to power. More female police, more bus drivers, more women candidates, most particularly. Also talking about public safety and how the government plans to use, and how every political party would like to use, the Nirbhaya fund of 1,000 crores. A report card for cities, a joint responsibility between the officials as well as the society on going forward when it comes to the safety of women in all these places. And then the acid attack schemes for acid attack victims, very specifically tailored for them when it comes to compensation, when it comes to the court processes, as well as the medical facilities for them. That's it on the show. This discussion, of course, will continue as this campaign aims towards the Indian women making an informed choice when she goes out to vote. We want you to be a part of that as well. Log on to jagore.com and you can register. Push the pin on the women's issue that affects you where you are located. It's easy and it's important. Next week, we will discuss violence in the home, the real danger that threatens women inside their homes. And we're going to leave you with this, a song composed by our CNN-IBN citizen journalist shortly after the Nirbhaya protests. From the team here, thanks for watching.
जहाँ जी सके निर्भय हंसे मेरी रूह की इतनी पुकार ये मेरी नहीं तेरी है हार तेरी ही है हार क्यों मेरी नजरें झुकी क्यों ना चलो राहें नहीं जो मैं ढूंढने मैं चल पड़ी तेरी रूह पे मेरा उधार ये मेरी